Well, I think also, Tesla, we just got done having a conversation talking about stocks that won't work again. And I don't think you're going to have a market backdrop for Tesla to ever exist again.
What?
I'm saying...
Wait, you're saying the best days of Tesla are behind?
I'm saying the best market backdrop for a stock like that is gone. And this, for a long time, was a company that didn't make money. It makes money now, but it survived in a marketplace. It was rewarded in a marketplace that didn't care about profitability. I still think they have trouble making their core car, their mass car, profitably.
In this video, a double dose of dum-dums, from CNBS to some of the fake news reporting on Elon Musk being a clown who doesn't know what he's doing and doesn't know anything about leadership. Oh, and by the way, don't forget, Tesla's just a car company. And Tesla's best days are behind them. In fact, the company won't even exist in the future. Oh, and by the way, they don't actually make any profits on their mass production vehicles, which seems to suggest that they're clearly and repeatedly and consistently performing accounting fraud and lying to the stock market and their shareholders every quarter. That is the absurdity in today's video. And if you guys want more content, I posted a video today going over some of Tesla's long-range predictions and their astonishing track record, calling ahead of time what they intend to and will ultimately do. It's always worth a little bit of perspective during these turbulent times, so I highly recommend checking out that video if you're a member on Patreon, and if not, now's the time to join with the card in the corner or the link in the pinned comment.
Got a double dose of buzzkills for you, starting with Tesla shares dropping more than 6% to a new 2-year plus low today. The latest move coming after a report that more customers now have a negative view of the brand than a positive one.
Did somebody say fact check? Don't mind if I do. So I'm trying to be reasonable here and give the most generous and fair interpretation of these comments as possible from Morning Consult, the results of which were reported by the Wall Street Journal, putting aside the potential biases of both the survey agency and the publication. Let me just make sure that they're not referring to this. Tesla's net favorability among self-described Democrats in the US fell to an average of 10.4% this month through November, down from an average of 24.8% in October. Now, by the way, guys, please don't look into the size of the survey, the sample size, whether or not it's meaningful and statistically significant. Let's just assume that all this is legit and makes sense and is logical, reasonable, and an accurate sampling. The way that this was described by Melissa Lee was suggesting that prior to the most recent survey, more than half of Democrats approved of Tesla, and now they don't? Is this what I heard? Obviously, they're not referencing this because 24% is not over 50%. According to Morning Consult, it rose to 26.5% from 20% among self-described Republicans during the same period. So obviously, they can't possibly be talking about this. It's nonsensical because none of these numbers are even close to 50%. So let's read on. Maybe it was something else. Another survey from YouGov shows that Tesla's popularity has been going down over the last year and recently dipped below 50%. Oh, here we go. This is what they're referring to, right? It's got to be. Popularity, 49%. Liked by 49%. Disliked by 20%. Fact check. CNBS don't have brains. I'm certain this is what they're referring to. And I'm certain they saw the number 49% and thought, oh, only 49% of people like Tesla on a website that they can vote on brands or some shit like that. Therefore, that must mean that 51% don't like Tesla. Therefore, we're going to say that out loud on our highly credible show. Just one problem, CNBS. Disliked by 20%, not 51%. Believe it or not, there was an option there for neutral. 28% of people voting neutral. So let's just listen to what CNBS said again. I believe this YouGov survey is what they're referring to.
The latest move coming after a report that more customers now have a negative view of the brand than a positive one. Seems
clear, according to CNBS. More customers now have a negative view of the company than a positive one. According to CNBS, 20% is more than 49%. Should we let them know or just leave them? Whatever. Fucking idiots.
Tesla is down more than 52% this year, 25% since CEO Elon Musk took over Twitter at the end of October. There's the whole distraction fear. There are fears about China, price cuts in China, demand waning in China. Lots of stuff going on here, Karen.
Yeah, lots of stuff going on. The distraction is one of them for sure. But I also think that, he's very out there. He's very public. He's very opinionated. And I think that most of those opinions are probably somewhat more offensive to Democrats than they are to Republicans. And Democrats have been the buyers primarily, not only, of course, but primarily. And you got to think that that has some effect. There is no company in America right now that is more intertwined with their CEO than Elon Musk. So him being out there and as sort of, he's just, I don't know what the word is, provocative, I guess. If I were a Tesla shareholder, I would be pretty pissed. So one thing, we've seen Tesla fall a lot. I looked, year over year, let's see GM versus Tesla. Not surprisingly, GM was better. But then I looked at the 2-year stack of GM versus Tesla. And I was a bit surprised, actually, to find out. I hope that this says that GM was better, because that's what I found.
Yes.
Yes.
The white line is above the orange line.
If ever you needed proof that the stock market can be more than irrational, in fact, completely brain dead for extended periods of time, look no further than General Motors stock versus Tesla stock over the last 2 years. 1, a sinking Titanic, catastrophic failures, producing a few dozen electric vehicles in a single quarter, bleeding money, piss weak profit margins, incompetent leadership, continual failures, acceleration of the EV plans. Oops, we underestimated how quick this would happen again, over and over and over. Total incompetence, stealing Tesla's valor along the way, claiming to be leading the way while being in last place. While Tesla has massively increased earnings, massively scaled up EV production, is making industry-leading profits 2 to 3 times as much as GM, spending zero money on advertising, I'll add. GM stock has outperformed Tesla stock over the last 2 years. Again, if you ever needed proof that the stock market is irrational, in fact, completely brain dead, case in point, you've heard the phrase, in the short term, the stock market is a voting machine. It's all about sentiment, case in point. Over the long term, the stock market is a weighing machine. At this point in time, the oversized thumb of emotion is currently on the scales, attempting to weigh Tesla stock, in my opinion.
But
Barely.
And so I feel like this leg down since he bought it is pretty much on Elon.
Yeah, I mean, at the highs, we were saying what happens if Elon Musk steps down? What happens if Elon Musk is forced away from the business? And that was a negative. So it makes sense that what we're seeing here in terms of the opinion of Elon Musk, as that declines, that has an impact on brand perception and maybe even the stock price. Carter, what does the chart say to you?
Well, the thing is this, and we all know this, although we all fight it, I do myself, just don't buy stocks in downtrends. Unless, of course, it's so bad it's good, but that's a different subject.
If ever you needed further evidence that the folks on CNBS are absolutely not investors, we just heard this doozy. The Ask Blaster here, wait, what, the chart master? I don't know, something anyway. This guy that draws dicks on charts and tells us about the stock's astrology and how what happened in the past can determine the future, says never buy stocks when the stock's going down. So if we flip this, obviously that means the only time you should ever buy stocks is when they're going up. Okay, thanks for your wisdom, Carter.
You're like the Nancy Reagan of bad stock charts. Just
say no.
Yes. Just say no to bad stock charts, Tim.
Well, I think also, Tesla, we just got done having a conversation talking about stocks that won't work again. And I don't think you're going to have a market backdrop for Tesla to ever exist again.
Did he just say no market backdrop for Tesla to ever exist? Does he think they're finally going bankrupt? What? Tim Tam, come on, man. We've made so much progress in the last few years. From deep-throating every Tesla Q thesis to actually making some semi-reasonable points occasionally about Tesla to now they're not even going to exist. What?
And I don't think you're going to have a market backdrop for Tesla to ever exist again.
Surely he's going to walk this back a little bit. I think his emotions came out a little bit too much there. There's no way he's going to back this statement up. And someone's going to question him on it, surely. He did just talk about Tesla not existing again. I didn't imagine that. We've just listened to it twice.
And I don't think you're going to have a market backdrop for Tesla to ever exist again.
What?
I'm saying...
Wait, you're saying the best days of Tesla are behind.
I'm saying the best market backdrop for a stock like that is gone. And this, for a long time, was a company that didn't make money. It makes money now, but it survived in a marketplace. It was rewarded in a marketplace that didn't care about profitability. I still think they have trouble making their core car, their mass car, profitably.
If ever you needed proof that this guy is literally one of the dumbest motherfuckers on planet Earth, I mean on Earth, not just on CNBS, on Earth, and that I'm justified in regularly referring to him mockingly as Tim C. Less, or more accurately, Tim C. Moron, there's that statement right there. It's December 2022, and this guy just said that he believes that Tesla isn't making profits on their mass production vehicle. Now, the only way you can possibly draw such a conclusion is that if Tesla is consistently committing accounting fraud every quarter. Where did the $3 billion that Tesla piled up last quarter come from, Tim Tam? Surely you're not going to say that the profit margins on the S and X, which are a fraction of Tesla's total vehicle sales, are literal orders of magnitude more than the actual purchase price of the vehicles being sold. That's nonsensical, but you'd need to make that kind of an argument for this to be true. The only way, unless Tim is accusing Tesla of accounting fraud, and of course, he would never believe any Tesla Q conspiracy theories, would he? Unless you believe Tesla is committing accounting fraud, the only other way you can logically get to this conclusion is that Tesla's only making profits on their S and X, such extremely high profits, that the cash-losing mass market vehicles that they're not making a profit on, apparently, according to this genius, are able to be propped up by the profits of the S and X alone. This is nonsensical. As a percent of total vehicles sold by Tesla, S and X are nothing. They're a speck. Which means the profits on these vehicles, in order for Tesla to overall have average profit margins on their vehicles around 30%, the profit margins on the S and X would need to be more than the entire purchase price of the vehicle. As in, Tesla makes them for free, then sells them for $100,000, and it's pure profit. In fact, that wouldn't even been enough to get to these numbers. This guy is insane. How did he say this out loud? It's fucking December 2022. And he just said that Tesla's not making money on their mass market vehicle. I mean, seriously, this guy's an actual fucking moron. This is not me disagreeing with his opinion. This is me pointing out that this isn't an opinion. This is an absurdity. I think we need an intervention for Tim. This guy's something's gone wrong with his brain. If anyone knows Tim, he needs help. Really, actually needs help here.
But more importantly, I just think this car does get caught up in a high multiple stock regime. It also is it's an auto company.
Tesla is as much an automotive company as Tim continues to point out repeatedly on CNBS and has for years. They're just a car company. The valuation doesn't make sense compared to this car company or that car company. Let's ignore the profit margins and the growth rate and the software component. They're just a car company. Tesla is as much an automotive company as Tim is an intelligent human being.
Karen's 2-year charts on both these companies. I mean, there is cyclicality there, and I think there's a commonality of that, even though it's an OEM.
And now some very important feedback that Elon Musk needs to hear about how to lead people and how to get the most out of his workers. Because obviously he's definitely doing something wrong in this regard. Hence the lack of multi-$100 billion companies, the lack of innovating, revolutionizing whole industries, and attracting the world's best and brightest talent to work for a fraction of the money they could make elsewhere doing less meaningful work. Over to you, Einstein. Elon Musk, I hope you're watching and taking notes on how to be a leader and get the most from your workers.
You write in an op-ed and on LinkedIn that Musk is kind of a counter case study for leadership. Just talk us about why he's such a powerful counter case study.
Well, Caroline, at the very moment when we have major multinational companies like Pfizer, Accenture, Salesforce, Walmart investing into their employees' well-being, mental health, and seeing the business results in terms of recruitment, retention, productivity, we have Elon Musk, who is a genius when it comes to understanding energy in cars, clearly not understanding human energy, and acting and expecting his employees to act as though work fueled by burnout leads to peak performance and great business results. And we see that it doesn't.
I believe it was Mike Tyson who once famously said everyone has a plan until they get punched in the face. And I believe it was Stephen Mark Ryan who just said everyone has an opinion on leadership until reality punches them in the face. And I think Miss Huffington here is just about to get slapped around by reality. A cold, hard dose of it, to say the least. I understand the perspective here. If your goal is to have a lot of average employees producing average results who aren't particularly engaged in the mission and don't really care that much, if your goal is to be inefficient, unresourceful, extremely wasteful, slow moving, and not really make an impact on the world, then this may be valid. But if your goal instead is to lead the world's most incredible talent toward inspiring missions and have employees who are so engaged, so passionate about the mission that they're willing to work their fucking faces off, extreme hours, have almost no social life outside of work, to care so much about the mission that they're willing to do this voluntarily, they're enjoying what they're doing so much that they're signing up for this. Never mind the fact that they're getting paid significantly less money than they could make elsewhere doing work they don't give a fuck about. If that's your goal, if your goal is to recruit the world's best talent, and to get more done with fewer people than any other company has ever done in the history of humanity, then I think Elon Musk may actually be doing something effective when it comes to leadership. Have you noticed the extremely lean and resourceful teams at Tesla and SpaceX, even Neuralink, running circles around everyone else? Tesla's autopilot team, I think like 100 people, doing more work than some of their autonomous startup competitors with 3,000 plus employees? I just don't know what planet this woman is on. Clearly it ain't Earth, honestly. It is stunning to me right now how many people are saying things that are the literal opposite of reality. For example, Elon Musk isn't a great leader. He doesn't know how to inspire workers, to get the most out of workers. Are you kidding me? It sounds to me like Miss Huffington's goal, her view with employees, and her perspective on leadership, if she was on a dating app, she would just match with every single person. Oh, yep, perfect match, perfect match, perfect match, 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 match. They're all perfect, 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 match, match, match. Meanwhile, Elon's like, nah, yep, nah. Call me crazy, but I think being more selective with who you employ and ensuring those working for you are extremely passionate about the mission, care deeply about the work, and are willing to work their faces off. Call me crazy, but I think this is actually a much better strategy and a much better example of true leadership than promising you'll suck off every one of your employees under the desk while they're at work just to make sure they're still happy in the workplace. Because they don't work for you, you work for them. And it's not about results. It's about holding hands and singing Kumbaya. And trigger alert, just in case I haven't made my fucking point. I think it's also fair to say that Elon Musk personally sleeping on the factory floors, in headquarters, not showering for days, being available, being visible, working harder than literally any other person at any of his companies is definitely a terrible example of leadership too. Obviously, that's not an effective way to get the most out of your workers too. If they're working their dicks off and they see the boss sleeping and working his dick off even more than you are, that's not a great way to inspire or lead your employees either. What a terrible leader Elon is. Hope you're taking notes, Elon.
We see a chaotic process of decision making, which clearly is not benefiting Twitter.
Well, that's all the proof I need. Let's ignore the data that Twitter themselves has been publishing about new user signups, daily activity, and so on. Never mind the improvements in terms of bots, and of course the removal of child exploitation material. Let's ignore the data about impressions on quote-unquote hate speech. If she said it, it must be true. It's not working out for Twitter. Elon, you're doing a really bad job. You should rehire those 5,000 plus people you got rid of who obviously were critical to the website and Twitter, the service, the platform continuing to function optimally, which is why Twitter in fact shut down the day those people were fired and hasn't been able to work since. Elon, are you taking notes? You're not a good leader.
And it's obviously not benefiting Tesla, because to Ed's point about why is Tesla stock down, there's no question that Elon Musk is the genius behind Tesla. When that genius is distracted by auctioning espresso machines from Twitter and moving beds into conference rooms and trolling Fauci on Twitter, if I were an investor in Tesla, I would be worried about why isn't he focusing on Tesla, especially during a time of growing competition.
What's interesting is this sort of hero status of sleeping in the office. Sam Bankman-Fried, who we're about to talk about much more in terms of the crypto world, falling asleep on beanbags, and almost it being something that they wanted to show the VCs and the potential investors. Look how then dynamic and focused as he is the minute he wakes up and comes to give you a pitch. When can we stop having this sort of idea of cultish fanaticism around certain people and an ability to do it all on about 2 hours sleep?
Well, actually, the majority of the world has stopped. That's what is so fascinating, especially because of the pandemic. We went from sleep deprivation, exhaustion, burnout, fueled work being a badge of honor and celebrated, to the opposite. I mean, we have major CEOs now, including Satya Nadella and Jeff Bezos, when he was CEO of Amazon, talking about getting 8 hours of sleep. We have major elite athletes like LeBron James and Tom Brady and Roger Federer talking about the importance of recovery for peak performance. And all these people are very hardworking. Caroline, I want to stress, this is not about not working hard. This is about working smart and not having the diminishing returns we've all experienced when we're exhausted and burned out and running on empty. And so the science and the data are so unequivocal, and that's what I find fascinating, because I'm a big admirer of Elon Musk. He's unquestionably a genius. So somebody who understands so perfectly energy, renewable energy, when it comes to cars, is missing out, is actually using incredibly outdated modes of human energy when it comes to how he wants to run his businesses.
Which is exactly why every company he's ever started has been a total failure. Hasn't done anything, hasn't achieved anything, and certainly hasn't done so more resourcefully than any other company on the earth. Now, to Arianna's point, sleep and recovery are important. Sleeping 2 hours a night is not helpful. Sleeping 4 hours a night, not helpful. Everyone's aware of diminishing returns. There are periods, however, when everyone gets stretched a little bit thin. You just have to push through. If you're going through hell, keep going. People seem to be very confused in their heads. There's a difference between getting the most out of every productive waking hour and depriving yourself of sufficient sleep, rest, and recovery. It may not have occurred to these folks. I absolutely agree. If you're getting insufficient sleep, poor nutrition, not looking after yourself, you will get diminishing returns. Elon isn't telling his employees, hey, how dare you sleep more than 5.5 hours per night? Fuck you, die in a fire, you're fired. No. All he's doing is recruiting, inspiring, and leading talent who are willing to produce the most out of their waking productive hours. I know this may be hard to fathom, but assuming you're in bed for 8 hours a night, there are still 16 other hours available in the day. And I know this is a stretch, but I don't believe most people currently working at Twitter are doing 16-hour days. But even if they were, they'd still have sufficient time for recovery. Of course, this is all hypothetical and theoretical. Why don't we just look at the fucking results? Because that's what matters, right? Oop, Elon, you're working everybody too hard, man. Diminishing returns. You can't work people this hard. That may be true, which is exactly why SpaceX is a total failure and they haven't developed, in fact, I'd say perfected reusable rockets. Why Tesla wasn't able to avoid bankruptcy in starting an electric vehicle company during a recession. And this is why both the private and public markets value Elon Musk companies a combined total of $0 in terms of market cap.
Arianna, is Elon Musk not just going back to his playbook? I want to bring up something you said in your op-ed, that he's showing the downsides of a model fueled by burnout and lack of sleep in his own decision making. And that made me think about the reporting from 2018 when Musk said he was sleeping on the production line with his engineers. You know, he does have a good track record of getting these companies, be it Tesla, be it SpaceX, through moments of duress. And you look at those two companies now, they are the clear market incumbents for both electric vehicles and commercial space launch.
Ed has done something very dangerous here by stating something that's reasonable and accurate about Elon Musk's historical track record and relating that back to Arianna's comments about Elon being a poor leader, not being able to get the most out of his employees and basically doing it wrong. Looking forward to the response.
Absolutely, Ed. I think two things have happened. One, the culture has moved on. The pandemic has dramatically accelerated the cultural shift away from celebrating, as Caroline was saying, burnout and wearing it as a badge of success.
It seems to me like Arianna is trying to make a point that has nothing to do with Elon Musk, Tesla, SpaceX or Twitter, but using Elon Musk as an example to make that point because Elon Musk. Correct me if I'm wrong, but I don't believe Elon Musk wears burnout as a badge of honor, nor encourages any of his employees to do likewise. The guy constantly talks about being stretched too thin, about saying you wouldn't want to be me, it's not fun, but he has no other choice. The man's on a mission. In fact, the man's on multiple really important missions. He's not working so hard because he wants to, but because he has to. Now, to her point, there are some people who, let's be honest here, more likely than not, their most important value is significance. They want to be perceived as important in the eyes of others. And one way some people achieve that, or at least attempt to achieve that, is by telling everybody how hard they're working and how little they're sleeping. This is as pathetic as it is lame, but it's also completely irrelevant to Elon Musk and the conversation that Ms. Huffington's having about the man. Once again, I want to emphasize, working hard, being resourceful and being productive in the hours that you're actually at work and working does not equal burning yourself out, getting insufficient rest, or wearing burnout as a badge of honor. For what it's worth, sleep is actually my number one priority. I'm a hard worker and I get a lot done in a little amount of time. I have a ton of free time in my life outside of this YouTube channel and Patreon content, believe it or not. In fact, I'm barely working full-time hours, but I get a lot done in those hours, at least comparatively speaking. At the end of the day, the only metric that matters is results. That is what Elon cares about, and that is why Elon is such a great leader. It seems Elon Musk is able to get more out of his employees in terms of results per head count of employee than any other company on the planet that's at reasonable scale. Just because a company is producing enormous results does not mean that its employees are burnt out or overworked. It just means they're efficient, lean, and resourceful.
When Elon Musk asked his Twitter employees to commit to a hardcore, intense way of working, 1,200 of them resigned. That would not have happened in 2018. What happened with the pandemic is that people looked at their lives and what do they value? And millions of people said, we value hard work, we value being completely engaged by our work, but we also don't want to be defined by our work. And we want to be able to also prioritize our own health and well-being. So that's the moment we are in right now. And I have no doubt that if Elon Musk started applying that scientific, clear data point around how to best work and achieve business results, he would be even more phenomenally amazing across all his companies.
Now, I'm not sure if you guys are aware of this. I don't think Arianna is, but there's this thing when you apply for a job, usually called an interview, where you are interviewed to see whether or not you're suitable for the role. Some people are not suitable for some roles. In fact, most people are unsuitable for most roles. It seems like Arianna is under the impression that there's a gigantic machine that just feeds general human beings into employment at certain companies, and the owner of that company, the CEO, the HR, nobody has any say of who actually works at the company. Therefore, you must pander to and appease the needs of a typical person. One of the responsibilities of a leader is to hire the right people. It is true that most people don't want to work particularly hard. Most people value work-life balance. Most people want a typical average life, and that's fine. They can work anywhere other than for Elon Musk. But those who want extraordinary results, extraordinarily meaningful work, a very compelling mission, these are the kind of people that Elon wants to hire. I don't think Arianna is getting this. Elon Musk wants his company to be entirely staffed by elite talent, hard workers. This is the special forces. Extraordinary results require extraordinary talent, extraordinary commitment, and extraordinary productivity. Just because working for Elon Musk isn't suitable, appropriate, or desirable for 99.9% of the world's population doesn't mean he's a bad leader, nor does it mean he doesn't know how to get the most out of his employees. It means that most people are not going to be suitable employees at one of his companies, hence the whole interview process in the first place.
Arianna, you've been a board member and an executive, a leader at a number of companies, technology sector and in media. Give me some concrete proposals that you think Elon Musk should put into play to fix the situation at Twitter, to improve performance at Tesla. What advice would you give him then to change what has been the case so far?
Now, before she answers, I'm just going to put this out there. My hunch, my suspicion is that this advice will probably be irrelevant to Elon Musk and in fact counterproductive. This advice will apply to people who don't want to change the world, who don't have a very important mission, and who don't want nothing but the special forces, the best of the best, the world's elite talent. I think instead that Miss Huffington is going to share her thoughts about how an ordinary business owner running an ordinary company with a boring or unexciting mission that isn't setting out to change the world in a meaningful way. Great advice for those folks. Most people watching this YouTube channel probably have an employer who this advice would very much apply to. And I hate to point out the obvious, but extraordinary results generally require extraordinary actions. Now, if you guys are confused, you hear this word a lot, you don't really think about it. Extraordinary, as in not ordinary, as in it's likely that if you want extraordinary results, your methods of leadership in particular are not going to fit in a typical box. They're not going to be normal. They're not going to be suitable for most people. They're going to be extraordinary, out of the ordinary, unusual, different.
Well, the first thing is along the lines of what we're discussing, kind of recognizing that he is going to make better decisions when he's not running on empty, when he's not exhausted.
This is a very valid point, and in an ideal world, Elon Musk will be getting enough sleep every single night of the week. Just one problem: demands on multiple, extremely important existential missions. He'll sleep when he's accomplished his goals. Don't get me wrong here. Like I said, in an ideal world, everyone gets enough sleep and they make better decisions. This is a fact. Let me just ask the Tesla shareholders, would you prefer Elon Musk have been getting enough night's sleep so he can make perfect decisions back in 2018 during production hell? I can tell you for a fucking fact, if Elon was getting enough sleep back then, able to make better decisions, Tesla would be bankrupt. He didn't have enough time to get sufficient rest. Sometimes you just have to go through hell. The key is to keep going. But to her point, it's absolutely right. If you're sleep deprived, you make worse decisions. If you're sleep deprived, you are playing on hard mode. These are the facts. But what's the alternative? For Elon Musk, it's either play on hard mode or die. One of those is unacceptable. The other is suboptimal, but it is acceptable.
So get a good night's sleep, in other words.
Get a good night's sleep, recharge, work hard. He's always going to work hard. You work hard, Caroline works hard, I work hard. That's kind of table stakes. But we all know also that our work depends on judgment, and his work and his achievements and what he does for his companies depends on the quality of his decisions. And look at the quality of his decision has not been good. There have been so many reversals.
Let me explain something, ladies and gentlemen. Rapid iteration, rapid decision making, and rapid reversals when you've realized the decision you've made is incorrect or needs adjusting is not poor decision making. The net outcome, the net result is what matters. It is quite the stretch to suggest that Elon is making poor decisions because he's changing his mind on some of those things, reversing them, pausing, delaying, and so on. The fact that Elon is willing to so rapidly reverse course when appropriate is a clear indication that he's thinking clearly, because he's willing to change his mind if he's made a mistake, like most people who would prefer to double down. Suggesting the rapid iteration at Twitter, for example, is evidence that Elon Musk is making bad decisions is asinine. Would you prefer Elon goes away for 12 months, lives in a fucking cave, meditates all day, and finally makes one fucking decision for his companies, the perfect decision that doesn't need to be reversed or changed? Or would you prefer he actually gets shit done in the meantime? It's just one of those counter-reality things like, hello guys, forget the journey. Look at the output. Look at the results. The results are what matters. It's like, oh, Elon changed his mind. Oh, you're doing it wrong, Elon. No. He's not doing it wrong. He's executing as fast as humanly possible, moving as fast as possible. This is the very definition of doing it right. The results are what matters. Can you imagine if Elon was as indecisive as Arianna is suggesting here? Oh, Elon, don't make any decisions until you got 100% of the information and you know exactly perfectly what your decision will be and it will never change your mind. He'd never get anything done. Seriously.
And there's been kind of so much trolling of figures, the Twitter files and all that, and that's all a huge distraction. And that really is my big hope, that he recognizes how much more effective he would be as a leader and how much better the business results would be if he looked at the science and data of peak performance.
So let me just translate what I think I heard. Hey Elon, clearly You've never been successful in business. You've never done anything of any meaning. You've never achieved any meaningful results. Certainly not with very lean and efficient teams. Your business track record is terrible. The numbers definitely don't speak for themselves. And therefore, it's obvious that if only you would learn a little bit more about leadership and peak performance of your employees, if only you would do that, you'd finally start being successful in business rather than the complete and utter failure you currently are. In other words, hey Elon, you're doing it wrong. Now, Arianna has made some valid points about productivity, decision-making, sleep fatigue, and so on. In an ideal world, everyone would always be getting enough sleep, perfect nutrition. They'd never have any dramas or any issues in their personal lives. But we do live in the real world, and the metric Elon is measuring his success or failure by is results. And I personally believe that Elon's results speak for themselves. Let me give you an example of what I think Arianna was saying just to illustrate my point. Just imagine you're at home, you're in bed, you're sleeping with your girlfriend. That's right, you managed to get a girlfriend, congratulations. There's a little bit of noise. She wakes up in the night, hey honey, I think someone's broken into the house. I can hear somebody downstairs. Oh my God, do something please. I'm scared. And you say, nah, f that, I need a little bit more. Give me 2 more hours sleep. I need to make the perfect decision here to figure out how to deal with this person in our home that's probably armed, might be stealing shit and could kill us. Yeah, I'm not going to make a great decision. I need a little bit more sleep to make a perfect decision, so f you, I'm going back to sleep. I'll talk to you in 2 hours, bitch. I'm pretty sure that's basically what Arianna just said Elon should do with his companies. In an ideal world, yep, you definitely get to sleep and make the perfect decision to deal with the intruder. But this is real life. So to quickly recap today's video, according to Tim Seymour, one of the dumbest motherfuckers on planet Earth, not only is Tesla just an automotive company, but it seems if you follow the logic of his arguments that Tesla isn't actually making a profit on their mass production vehicles, the 3 and Y, they must be committing accounting fraud quarter after quarter after quarter, yet somehow this has gone unnoticed by the SEC. Okay, Tim. And Arianna Huffington here has some reasonable comments about sleep, fatigue, and decision making, but seems to be applying them to Elon Musk as if he doesn't exist or live in the real world. Lastly, don't forget, if you want more content, like 240 plus exclusive videos and counting rapidly, head over to Patreon with the card in the corner or the link in the pinned comment. I'll see you over there. Love ya.